Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Albuquerque Aliens Draft to Glory franchise mode here in NHL 25. So last episode, if you did not catch it, it was quite a crazy episode against our former goaltender Boris Malkin in the St. Louis Blues. Now, we found ourselves, interestingly enough, in a 3-1 hole, but we somehow came back and won the series in 7 games. So maybe this team has a little bit of mojo on their side going forward, which is absolutely huge. But you can see we won game 1, so at that point, looking pretty good defensively, and we continued that winning streak from the last round. But then we went on that big 3-game losing streak, as I said, to go down 3-1, which is not great. We lost 4-1, 6-3, and also lost a game in overtime. So at that point, we had to make some crazy adjustments. So we decided just to go best lines and see if it would actually help our team or not. And it ended up helping out our team quite well, as their last 3 games have been very good defensively. And we've been also finding a little bit of a consistent offensive scoring as well. So we won 3-0, 4-2, and 2-0. So 3 straight great games. But now we're going to be taking on the San Jose Sharks in the conference finals. And the Sharks obviously won the President's Trophy this season with a 63-13-6 record. And yeah, they definitely are going to pose a very big problem for us. I'll show you guys their lines in a second, but more on the St. Louis Blues series. Malkin played pretty good against us, but he was not good enough, I guess. And Gionta was really, really strong in the later stages of the series, of course, when we won 3 straight games. But if we go to St. Louis's stats, but if we look at Malkin's stats from that round against us, he was very, very good, but his team just could not do enough. As you can see, he posted a .935 in the playoffs. And if we look at like game logs against us, like he did whatever he could to basically give his team a chance, but they just could not win. His worst game against us was an .897, but every other game against us in that round, he did really good. So technically, I feel like even if we held on to Malkin, we probably could have gotten similar results in a way. But at the same time, I do really like how Gionta's been for our team as well. Because you don't necessarily need to be the strongest goalie in the world like Malkin, for instance. You don't need to be posting .930 save percentages. You just need average goaltending like Gionta, and you can get yourself far in the postseason. But and speaking of goaltending as well, though, we are going to be taking on a very tough goaltender in Dorian Sawchuk on the San Jose Sharks. Now, I will show you guys their lines again just in case you forgot, but the Sharks are built up quite well. This is one of their only playoff runs they've had. They've been in the playoffs, I think, like the last 4 or 5 years. Before that, they had not made the playoffs at all, it seems like, in the series, which is really, really interesting. But you can see they definitely have some huge threats, especially Gene Bochinski, who is a high franchise at 24, 96 overall. This guy's been a very good machine for them the last few years. You can see back-to-back 50-plus goal seasons, 110-plus points. In the playoffs so far, he's got 12 goals in 11 games, which leads the team, and 17 points. So he's been a huge threat. Hopefully we can contain this guy, because if we can't, that's going to be really hard for us. They also do have Rodin, who's been very good, and he also has a huge extension, which I didn't realize kicking in place because I was looking at some contracts. And yeah, this guy has a lot of money tied up after the season. I think it's like $15 million he's getting paid. So the Sharks are definitely going to be in a money situation relatively soon, I would assume. There's also Keeler, who's very, very good. He's more of a playmaker. It seems like, despite being a two-way forward, you can see he has no goals in the playoffs, but he's got 14 assists, so he's also a very good player. And then they also have Morrison, and even like guys like Wang, Burkhoff are decent. Their bottom 6 maybe a little bit more on the weaker side of things, but they're very top 6 heavy, and that is kind of scary. From a defensive standpoint, their defensive core is not the strongest defensive core in the world, which is interesting because they do have very good defensive results, and they also have very good goaltending results. As you can see, they have 2 good goaltenders in Sawchuk and Parker, but Dorian Sawchuk is an animal, at least this season. I don't know how he's going to be in future years, but this is his rookie season in the NHL, and he posted a .923 in 68 games this season. I think this guy could easily win the Calder this year if, for some reason, the game actually wants to give it to a goaltender. I've never seen that happen in a while, but this guy should be a Calder favorite for sure. Also, his postseason this year, he's got a .952 through 11 playoff games. This is his first ever playoff run, so this guy's been locked in for the entire season, and it's kind of scary. I hope that obviously we can find ways to score goals on him, because that's obviously going to be really tough to do. And we are kind of more of a defensive team ourselves, so we kind of need to be maybe winning these games like 2-1 and stuff like that if we want to have a chance. But I don't know if we're all of a sudden going to start scoring a lot of goals on Sawchuk and be able to beat them easily or not, but Sawchuk's definitely one of the best goaltenders I've seen for his rookie season. And then, like I said, if they have, like, for some reason a goaltending injury, they do have Jason Barker, who isn't as good, but a few years ago as a backup goaltender, he posted a .930 save percentage, so he is pretty damn solid. Doesn't have a lot of playoff experience himself as well, but yeah, basically they have a two-headed monster if they want to run with that. So yeah, that's basically what the Sharks look like. Yeah, I think it's going to be probably our toughest matchup yet, considering they won the President's Trophy, but if we could beat them, I could definitely think we could literally beat any team going forward, which is interesting. The other two teams left in this playoff run are Carolina and Buffalo. I believe Carolina might still have our former goaltender in Trenton Spezza, so if we do end up facing Carolina in the Cup Finals, we might have to face another former goaltender. Yeah, but we first have to get 4 wins against a really tough Sharks team. So with that said, let's get in your guys' comments, see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we will get into this conference finals and see if we can win 4 more games and get ourselves to another Stanley Cup Finals with this Aliens team. So the first 2 comments are from Michael Dose. The first one says, "So glad common sense kicked in with benching Reina. You have to treat them like treat the team like a business and not have favorites because they have been on a team for a long time." And I was telling him it was more like the best lines, because the best lines basically made the decision that we would scratch Norena in our lineup, which is a little bit controversial in my opinion because he's been with us so long. But they did move McLeod back to defense, and it seems like it's been helping out quite well with the defensive structure on this team. I don't know if it's just because our defensive core has higher overall players in it now, but scratching Norena, not necessarily something I want to do, especially if we do get to a Cup Finals. I would like to have him maybe in the lineup for the Cup celebration and stuff like that, if that is the case. But yeah, he's obviously a controversial scratch. But anyways, then Michael was like at the end, he's like, "True, but you were questioning on benching him after best lines, and happy you did." And yeah, I was questioning in it. Still kind of am questioning in it, but we have played really good defensively the last 3 games without him in the lineup. So probably to start this round, we'll keep it the same. But obviously, if for some reason we're getting some really bad issues, maybe we'll put him back in. Just because he hasn't been like a really bad player for us this postseason. He's been probably one of the better defensive players in the playoffs right now. Like, he's a +1 through 9 games. He's got 3 assists as well. So he's kind of playing to his strength. He's also shooting the puck a lot too, which is nice to see. So I definitely would like to get him back into the lineup at some point, but it's not going to be right now. It might be soon though. Because this is probably going to be his last run, my guess, for another Stanley Cup. And the last and final comment is from Soundtaku, who says, "Okay, Malkin enjoyers, your apology is accepted." And, well, I don't really blame Malkin at all, and for St. Louis losing that series. St. Louis just did not find their offense quite a bit in that series near the end. As I was mentioning, those last 3 games, we played great defensively. Early in the series, the Blues were kind of finding their offense a bit more, so at that point, Gionta was not playing very good. Malkin could have easily won that series if his team would have gave him a bit more goal support, but I definitely think that was a good little series, and it was a fun one too, just to see which goaltender would come out on top. Glad it went to 7 games as well, because obviously that just makes it a little bit more storybook than it would have if we were being eliminated in like 5 games or something like that, so... With that said, I think we're ready to get into this conference finals. Obviously, we do not have home ice advantage for this series because the Sharks obviously had a crazy season. So it's going to be battle of the Sharks and the Aliens. This should be interesting. I almost kind of feel like I want to just look on like a Google AI image generator or something like that and see some Sharks fighting aliens, because I feel like that would be an epic battle. Like, imagine just like some UFOs flying over the ocean while there's sharks jumping in the air and stuff like that, trying to attack these UFOs. That's what I feel like this playoff round is like, to be honest. But anyways, they're 8-3 so far this postseason. We're 8-4. We need to find ways to score goals if we want to win this series, and it's going to be very tough, but we got to find a way to do it. So let's get into this. Game number 1 in San Jose. Can we find ways to score goals on a very stingy defensive team that has also some big offensive threats? First period. 2-0 us. Okay, good start. Well, we managed to find a way to already score 2 goals on Sawchuk, which is already more than he typically allows. So I'm kind of surprised about that first period, but maybe not, because since we came back from a 3-1 deficit, I almost feel like we could potentially sweep this round. I know that's kind of jumping to things early, but I almost have a little bit of a hunch in us that we might be able to go easily past this San Jose Sharks team after last round. So we'll see what ends up happening with that, but usually Sawchuk allows 1.45 goals against per game, and he already allowed 2 in that first period. Now, we did outshoot them 16-7, so maybe just the Sharks didn't come ready to play, but so far that's a really good start against a very good team. So Comrie opened the scoring early on, and in 9 minutes or so later, we got a goal from Hutton. Nice to see. Can we make sure that the Sharks don't get on the score sheet at all in the second? Because they could easily respond with 2 goals with the offensive talent that they have. Second period? 5-2 us. Okay, we are finding our offense, which is good. They did score 2 goals in that period of their own, but we got 3 of our own too, so no problems with that period whatsoever. Delisle made it 3-0. Then they almost get back into the game. Bergeron and Torres make it 3-2, but then you can see Kolar's giving us back that lead, which is absolutely huge from the older guy, and Ristolainen also, another old guy, giving us that big goal advantage. So we're up by 3 goals going into the third. Shots are 29-23. We are definitely taking it to Sawchuk, which is something Sawchuk hasn't had to do at all this season. Like, during the regular season, he was really good. Playoffs, he was really good so far. Hopefully, this isn't just like one game where we blow them out completely and then we lose 4 straight games. Hopefully, this is a consistent thing for our team, because this is definitely exactly how we wanted to start off this conference finals. But let's see what happens in the third period, see if we could lock this game down. We don't necessarily need to score more goals. We just need to play strong defensively, get that good goaltending, and everything will be okay. But this is definitely a good way to start off on the road too. Like, if we had a home ice advantage, it'd be a typical win. But since we're on the road, these wins are very important. And it looks like we're going to easily cruise to a 5-2 victory in San Jose in Game 1. No goals in a third period, but a very strong performance. Sawchuk made up for his bad first few periods, it looks like, for the Sharks by making a lot of saves in that third period. We outshot them 42-28, but we do get the victory on the road, which is, this is only the I think this is only the second time the Sharks have lost in regulation, because I think their other losses were in overtime, which is kind of crazy. I have to definitely take a look at that, but really good game. Comrie from McLeod and Bell. We had Hutton from Cashman and Carlotti, Delisle from Robertson and Petterman, Kolars from Dunham and Risto, and we had Risto from Dunham and Kolars. God, I can't barely talk. Nicely done, guys. Nicely done. Let's take a look at those stat lines. So Risto, Dunham, and Kolars all with 2 points. So the top line did some good work, which is nice to see. Bunch of guys on 1 point as well, which is also nice to see. And then from a plus-minus department, we had a bunch of guys that were plus. Only a couple guys that were minus, and that was the 4th line, but that's okay. From a goaltending perspective, Gionta is still on his game. He's had now 4 straight really good games, and our team is definitely playing a lot better in front of him without Narain on the lineup, which is a bit weird. So Kolar's the first star, 2 points. Risto second star, 2 points as well. And same with Dunham. He gets third star with the 2 assists. Nicely done. Alright, so that's a very good first game. I don't think we need to obviously make any adjustments after a game like that. As long as we keep on being healthy and all that, we should be good. We should be good. So, yeah, I think the Sharks have not... I think that was only their second regulation loss. I got to take a look at that, just because that would be an interesting stat if we only beat them... Or we just beat them for the first time. They haven't lost since, I don't know, when in regulation. Let's see. If we go to goalie stats here, and we go to the Sharks, I don't remember what it was. Oh, no, never mind. That was their third regulation loss. So they've lost 3 in regulation. I don't know who else beat them. If we actually go to Sawchuk's stats, we probably should be able to find a way to look at this game log-wise. So, let's see. Does it say if he won or not? No, it doesn't even say if he won or not. It would be nice if it showed if they won or not in this part of the screen, but yeah, I would assume his worst save percentages are his losses. Like, this game against Dallas is probably a loss, likely. So it looks like they must have lost to Dallas. So that's that's in the regular season still. Goddamn. Maybe a 906 save percentage is a loss. A 900 save percentage could be a loss. Yeah, yeah, that's probably the 3 losses. The ones that are at like 900 save percentages and in this 881. So, we'd knocked his save percentage down to a 943 from a 951. Maybe we could knock it down even more so. Anyways, let's get to game number 2. That was a very good first game. No problems. We just got to see if we could obviously maintain that, because now we're on a 4-game winning streak after we lost 3 in a row. So it's been inconsistent this playoffs, but it's also been a very good one. All right, let's get to game number 2 in San Jose. Can we take both games in San Jose or not? If we can find a way to take both games, I almost feel confident that we could beat these Sharks. But so far, we've been able to contain, I guess, their top guys. We just got to find a way to continue to do that. Because if Bochenski gets hot, that is going to be not great. So, first period, game number 2. 2-0 us. I feel like we're going to cheese them. I feel like we're going to cheese them at this point. Risto scores 2 goals in that first period. So in his last 2 games, the old man who is near the end of his career, Ristolainen, has 3 goals. He's been absolutely great in this conference final so far. He definitely wants to win another Stanley Cup, he says, before he retires. Shots are tied 13-13, but we are getting a better goaltending result. So seems like everything's working nicely in our favor. We're scoring goals. We're playing good defensive hockey. We're getting goaltending results. There's no problems whatsoever, or at least at the moment. Those 2 goals were literally 3 minutes apart. So 2 quick ones in succession. Not a bad period for both goaltenders. Obviously, Sawchuk has kind of had a bad time to start off these games, but he's still, I'd say, been the better player on the Sharks right now. Like, the Sharks just don't have an answer to our offensive scoring right now, which is weird because at times our offense has been pretty bad, but so far it's finding themselves against a very good team. Let's see if we can maintain this stat line going into the second period. 2-1. Okay, they do get back within 1. We don't score any goals in that period, but that's all right. We do still have the lead. They're out shooting us 31-17 now, so they had a lot of shots that period. They only scored 1 goal, which is kind of surprising. It was early in the period, so Gionta's been a man on a mission here in these last few games. Hopefully we can find a way to make sure they don't tie it up, because they definitely have the momentum getting all those chances, but we've been stonewalling them pretty much right now. So it's Burkhoff with their goal. We're up by only 1 goal going into the third. We got to be careful here, guys. We don't want to blow that 2-0 lead in this third period. So let's get an insurance marker and play better defensively. Let's not give up as much shots. Like, that's probably our worst period, I would guess, during this playoff round so far. Let's see what happens. Third period underway. Can we get an insurance marker? Risto has 2 goals so far. Maybe he could find a way to get a hat-trick. Again, Morrison ties the game up for the Sharks, and Wang gives them the lead. And Rudder makes it 4-2. Well, all of a sudden, Gionta has found a way to allow a lot of goals, but he has been getting a lot of shots on him. Delisle pulls us back within 1, though. Can we find a way to tie it? Power play late in the game. We do not tie it there. Final few minutes, please, guys. And we blew it. Okay, well, that's not on Gionta. You could say it's on Gionta because he gave up 3 goals in a span of like 2 minutes, or even 1 minute actually for that matter, just over a minute. But I think that's more on the fact that our team just decided to give up way too many shots when we were up 2-1. Like, eventually Gionta's going to break. Like, Gionta still made 39 saves in that game, so he did his best, but our team just took it off like completely after the first period. So that's not great. The Sharks do win one of their home games, which means maybe this series is going to be one of the ones that go to Game 7 or something like that, or longer than that. Or not longer than Game 7, I guess. Longer than 4 games. So we're not going to have as easy of a time as we thought, but that's definitely our worst defensive effort in a while. But Risto from Petterman and Kolars, Risto from Dunham and Kolars, and then obviously Delisle scored late from Robertson Cashman. But yeah, 4 unanswered goals, not a great thing. And the crazy thing about it is still Bochenski hasn't had a point against us, I think, so far. I think they're getting offense more from their second line, which is not what I was expecting. But yeah, good game for Risto and Kolars, but kind of mid for everybody else. Yeah, that last little bit of the game. Gionta got pulled after those 4 goals against, and then Mathers came in the last 12 minutes. It's kind of weird. I don't know if I would have pulled Gionta at that point. 4 goals on 38 shots. Maybe I would pull him, but it was 3 quick goals. But I think that would be more on the defensive play than him. But that's kind of interesting that they decided to go to Mathers for the last 12 minutes. I'm definitely not starting Mathers in any of these games because I think Mathers is the type of goalie that just get blown up, but you never know. But yeah, their big guys stepped up. Wang, Burkhoff, and Morrison. So yeah, it's that second line for the Sharks that did all the work while their top line has still taken time off, which is not great. Because if their top line starts going too, and their second line still does good, that's not going to be great. All right. Well, a good first game. And then a kind of a mid-second game. So not ideal, but I don't know if I'll make any adjustments yet. Obviously, we got to be limiting a lot more shots on goal in the next game if possible. Because Gionta, if he faces like 50 shots in a game, he's going to give up goals. There's no question about that. So let's keep the team the same for this game. But obviously, if we allow a lot of shots on goal again and we lose badly or lose by 1 goal or something like that, maybe we make some adjustments to try and get our team to play a little bit better defensively. So with that said, let's get to game 3. We are now heading to home ice. At least we stole one game in San Jose. Obviously, if we lost both of them, it would have been kind of tougher. But since we stole the game in San Jose, we still have maybe some momentum to carry on to our home ice. So here we go. Game 3 on home ice. Can we find a way to win this first period like we've done the last 2 games? First period, 1-0 Sharks. And of course, it's Bochenski. I have been talking about him being quiet, and of course, he is the one that opened the scoring. Now, we're out shooting him 16-11, so seems like Sawchuk is all of a sudden finding his game, which is not ideal for us, because obviously, if they find their goaltending like they did in the first 2 rounds, they find that offense from their first 2 lines, then we're going to have a little bit of a tough time winning games for sure. So, not ideal that we're trailing after 1, but at least it's only by a goal. The question is, though, can we find a way to tie it in the second period? Yay, we took the lead. That's even better than tying it up. I'll definitely take that. Dunham scores with 7 minutes left. I had to tie the game up at 1. Reefers gives us the lead only a couple minutes later. Shots are now in our favor, 25-21, so a very good second period from our team. And we're still finding ways to consistently score goals on Sawchuk, which is nice because there's probably not been any team so far this postseason that consistently scored goals on him, which is good to see. We're only up by a goal, so we got to be careful going into the third. Obviously, we had the same result last game. Let's see if we can hold on to this lead for a change and also play good defensively, that we don't give up a lot of shots on goal in this third period. Let's see what happens. Come on, boys. Penalty kill to start off the third. Not a good idea to take a penalty rate off the hop, but we did kill it off, which is great. Still up by a goal. We are getting a lot of shots in this period, so maybe we're keeping the puck away from our offensive zone, which is good to see. 5 minutes remaining, still up by a goal. Can we lock this one down? The answer is yes, we can. Dunham gets a power play empty net goal. We win 3-1. We outshot them 40-27, so good game for their goaltender, Sawchuk, to keep them in it. But our offense was able to contain their offense for the most part, which is absolutely huge. We get back to our good defensive ways of earlier games like Game 1 and all that. Let's friggin' go. So Dunham from Ristolainen and Bell, Reefers from Kopitz and Comrie, and in Dunham gets the empty netter from Comrie. So a big second period propels us to a victory. And so far we've only kept Bochenski to 1 goal against us, which is pretty damn impressive in my opinion. So yeah, Comrie and Dunham, 2 points apiece. And then any badly minus people? Not really. Goaltending wise, a 963 from Gionta. So yeah, Gionta definitely, to me, wasn't the problem in Game 2. But it sucks that he got yanked. But he's been very good still. He gets 3rd star. Sawchuk got 2nd star because he kept the Sharks in it. And Dunham the 1st star with 2 goals and 3 hits. So we have taken a 2-1 series lead. Obviously, it's still a close series, but if we could win this next game, that would be absolutely huge for our confidence, because then we'd be 1 win away from the Stanley Cup Finals if that's the case. Right now, in case you guys were wondering, in the East, Carolina is up 2-1 on the Buffalo Sabres. All right, well, I don't know if I need to make any adjustments after a game like that. Like, we've been playing some pretty good defensive hockey for the most part. Like, we haven't allowed more than 3 goals against that much. Like, only one time we've allowed more than 3 goals against in the last 7 games or 6 games. So our defensive play has been very strong. And even though like I said, we lost a game in the series, I feel like we've been doing a very good job playing against people like Bochenski. We obviously had a really tough time with that one game, but I think our team's doing really well, and I think I want to keep it the same. So can we take a 3-1 stranglehold on the Sharks, or are we going to have a best of 3 going forward potentially? Let's see what happens. Game 4. Come on, guys. Let's use this home ice to our advantage again and play good. First period. 1-0 us. Good start. Good start. Dunham scores again on the power plays. So Dunham now has 3 goals in his last 2 games. Back-to-back power play goals technically for him too, because the last goal he scored in last game was a power play empty net goal. So our power play is starting to produce too, which is good. Shots are pretty even after that first period, 10-9 in favor of us. We're only up by a goal, so it is definitely anybody's game still at this point. Let's have a good second period here, so it's an easier time for us in that third period. Second period, 1-1. Okay, they do tie it up, and it's Bochenski again. So I don't like that Bochenski's all of a sudden scoring goals, but at least he's not scoring at will. Like, he's only got 2 goals in the last 2 games, so it's not like he's lighting it up completely, but we got to be sure to make sure that guy doesn't get right open in the slot like he just did, I guess, on that goal, because That guy's got a very good shooting category, and he's probably one of the best goal scorers in the league at this point in time, just because Stowitz retired a few years ago, obviously. But shots are in our favor, 23-16, so their goaltender's definitely keeping them in this game too, because we're outshooting them quite a bit. But it is a 1-1 game. It's anybody's game going into the third. If we could find a way to win this next 20 minutes, we take a 3-1 series lead. If we lose this 20 minutes, then it's a best of 3 for I guess the Western Conference Championship, I should say. So let's see what happens. Third period underway. Can we get that lead back? Can we get that lead back? Yes, we can. Hunwick's been so good this postseason. I don't even know what's with him in scoring goals, but he has scored like 7 goals as a defenseman. Keeler scores his first goal of the playoffs against us. That's not great. That's another top 6 player of theirs. Can we find a way to get that next one? Penalty kill. Stop taking penalties late in the game, boys. But we killed it off, which is absolutely huge. We do head to overtime here in game number 4. That's a huge overtime. We had a huge penalty kill near the end of it. We are still out shooting 31-27, but yeah, Keeler hadn't scored at all. I don't know why Mathers is in it. I didn't even realize that. So Mathers came in relief of Gionta after 1 goal against. I really hope it's just like an injury in game and then he returns for next game, because if Gionta is actually injured, relying on Mathers for the postseason against obviously the Sharks and all that would be absolutely tough. So I guess Mathers will be in net to start this overtime. It's unfortunate, but oh man, hopefully Mathers can just find a way to get me enough saves that our team could score a goal and get us this win. I would jump into this, but I feel like, I don't know if I should. Maybe I should, because last round I did jump in an earlier game, but I feel like I might cheese us, because if we jump in and we lose, then it's a tie series. I feel like I might just wait, just because I don't want to risk it that we might end up losing. So let's see. Who do I think is going to score the overtime winner? I'm trying to guess. Who hasn't scored in a while? Maybe like Drew Bell or something like that would be interesting, because I don't know if Bell's even scored a goal in this postseason run. Maybe he has, but he has been kind of quiet in terms of goal scoring. So can we find a way to win this game in overtime and give Mathers the win, and then Gionta hopefully will be back next game. Hopefully he's not injured long term. Let's see what happens in overtime. Come on, boys. Let's get that next one. Let's get that next one. Yes, we are going to get that next one. I didn't see who won it. It was Doughty. His first career playoff goal, I think, if I'm not mistaken. It might be his second, but one of his first ever career playoff goals is a game-winning goal in overtime, and it puts us up 3-1 on the San Jose Sharks. Absolutely huge goal from the kid there. And we outshot them 34-27, so we do get another victory despite maybe some injury troubles. I really hope Gionta's still healthy, though. Let's just hope that it was like literally that he had to go to the bathroom or something like that. I'm not too sure. But anyways, our goals, Dunham from Kohlers and Delisle. Then we had Hunwick from Reefers and Comrie. Hunwick's up to 7 goals this postseason, and that was Doughty's first career playoff goal from Hunwick and Petterman. So Doughty, absolutely huge goal. Like I was mentioning, I think in my Islanders episode that you guys would have seen if you watched that series as well, you need to have random guys like that step up on your team. You can't just have the top 6 doing all the work like San Jose tends to have. You need to have guys randomly on the 4th line, the 3rd line step up, and that's exactly what Doughty did in that overtime. Hunwick had 2 points in that one. Again, Doughty the 1 goal in only 6 minutes of ice time, so big 6 minutes from that kid. Delisle and a lot of other guys on 1 point as well. We did have, Bell was -2 in that game, so not the strongest from our top defenders, but it is what it is. McLeod's actually been kind of quiet as of late, too, speaking of which, so hopefully he gets going. And then, yeah, Gionta played 32 minutes, had a 9:33, and then Mathers came in and had a 9:17 in 30 minutes, so both goalies played good. I don't know why Gionta left the game, but hopefully he's okay. Hunwick first star, Doughty second star, and Bochinski the 3rd star. All right, is Gionta okay is the question. Is he okay? Yes, he is. Okay, good. It was just a random day-to-day injury kind of thing, or in-game injury. So he will be back for this next game, which is good. Because if he would have missed these next few games, I feel like the Sharks could have found a way to crawl back into the series. But there we go. Okay, and apparently Carolina's up 3-1 on Buffalo, so we might be facing off against Spezza potentially if we do get to the finals. Of course, I'm pretty sure Spezza's still in Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. So it would be interesting, because I think... Wasn't Gionta the one that we took over Spezza? Like, we had basically Spezza and Gionta, I think. And then eventually we decided to prioritize Gionta, he took over the reins for Spezza. And we could have done that with Malkin last year too, but we decided to let go of Malkin instead of Giunta. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, it's a really interesting playoff run so far this team has had, going through like some former players, and then obviously now playing against this conference finals against the Sharks and handing them 3 losses already, which is pretty impressive. Just got to find a way to give them one more loss, and we can find ourselves in a Stanley Cup final. So, with that said, we keep the team the same. We've been playing some very good defensive hockey. I hope Narain is okay with his ice time because he's not in the lineup. But like I said, I wouldn't mind getting him back in if there's a chance for us to win the Stanley Cup in next episode, if that's the case. So, let's see what ends up happening. See if we can find a way to close out the Sharks on their home ice. Come on, boys. Let's get her done. Let's get her done. We've been playing some great hockey. Just got to keep it going. First period, game number 5. 1-0 Sharks. Not terrible, but Landeskog opens the scoring. That is a 4th line goal for the Sharks. So hopefully that's not good. Not a good thing that their depth scoring is starting to score goals. We are out shooting 13-11, so Sawchuk had a good first period against us. We've had some good second periods before. We've also had some really bad second periods. So can we find a way to get back into this game in the second period? Second period? 2-1. Okay, that's still close. Bell tied it up, so Bell heard me talking about him last game. Ties the game up, but like late goal from Dorian Wang. That's not a good goal to give up with 34 seconds left, especially because we're out shooting him 31-16. So Sawchuk is the type of goalie that could steal them a game and help them get back into this. So we got to be very wary about that, and we got to find ways to score more goals on him like we've done in the last few games. Can we find a way to tie this game up in the third, or are we going to be potentially going to a game 6? Because this Sharks can literally do to us what we did to the Blues, which is come back from 3-1. So we got to be very careful here. Very, very careful. Let's see what happens. Third period underway. Can we tie this game up? Can we tie it up? Come on, boys. I believe in you. I know we have goals from Cashman and all those type of guys. Kopitz, let's go. 2-2. Big goal from Maximilian. That ties it up at 2. Penalty kill in this third period. It's a long penalty kill. I don't know who took that penalty, but we killed it off, and then Kolar scores. We are going to jump in here because we are going to be going to the Cup Finals potentially if we could hold them off for a little bit longer. A huge late goal from Kolars. Absolutely huge. Wow. Okay, well, let's see if we can hold them off. Hopefully jumping in isn't going to screw me over here, because if it does, then I'm actually going to be mad, but... Damn, man. That is a really good penalty kill, man. Like, our penalty kills actually done a really good job in the series against the Sharks. Like, we aren't letting Bochinski and Keeler and all those guys have too much goals on us. So, just got to find a way to kill off this last few minutes of the game. Maybe get an insurance marker. But Kolars has the game-winning goal potentially right now. That might send us to the Cup Finals. There's still a minute 54 left. We're out shooting 46-30, so we got to be careful. Face-off won by Ristolainen. It is over to McLeod. McLeod gets hit, but he does get it up. Here is Dunham over to Kolars. Kolars with the difference maker so far. Throws it across, just about hit Risto. Risto folds it back. Here's Drew Bella bomb deflected on net, and that is turned away by Sawchuk. I don't know why all the goalies get all generated goalies get like an Anaheim mask. It's kind of weird with like a Sharks goaltender wearing an Anaheim mask, but it is what it is. All right. Still 55 seconds left. We could keep it in their zone the entire time if you want, guys. Because we don't want them to pull their goaltender. Risto wins the draw. McLeod can't get the shot through. Rodin throws it up to Bochinski. It's a 2-on-1. Bell poke it away. Poke it away. Bochinski walks in. Huge save. Giunta. Sharks have maybe getting a chance to get pressure. Eakin throws it on that Giunta. Another save. Get it out, guys. Don't let them get that pressure, especially with the empty net. Oh my goodness, we get it out. Okay, good. Dunham looking for the empty net. He shoots it way wide, but it does take time off the clock. Morrison finds Wang. Nice little step up there by Drew Bell, I think that was. Nice stick by Bell. Bell finds Robertson. Robertson will take it and board play. Byzantine throws it over. Here is Burkov. Burkov a shot, another save. Giunta. 16.5 seconds left on the clock. They almost have full pressure, so we definitely need to win this face-off. And I think it's Cashman. Yep, Cashman's the money man. He's at the face-off. I don't remember how good his face-off stats are, but he needs to win this draw against Dorian Wang here. Cashman, you got this, buddy. And he wins it cleanly. Bell throws it up. Here is Robertson. Robertson throws it over, turns it over to Keeler. A big hit there. Final few seconds. Big hit. Morrison tries to get it back into our zone on time. He finds Keeler. Keeler makes a move. He throws it over to Wang. Over to Morrison. It's blocked. And your Albuquerque Aliens have taken out the President's Trophy winning San Jose Sharks in the conference finals and are now 4 wins away from the Stanley Cup. Let's friggin' go. Western Conference champions again. We've been to, I think, 2 cup finals so far in this timeline. This is now our 3rd that we're going to. So absolutely huge. Risto going through the handshake line. That's probably Wojcinski, I would assume. Yeah, it's Wojcinski, number 60. Oh my goodness. Absolutely huge win. Taking out probably a Vezina Trophy winning, Calder winning goaltender, and getting ourselves to a Stanley Cup Finals again. Absolutely huge. We're doing this for Staubitz this run. Staubitz is watching from like the press box, so absolutely huge that win. That was scary kind of near the end because near the end they had possession of the puck and they could have literally got a good chance on goal, but the time ran out because like look at this. He's got all this net to shoot at. But then the time pretty much runs right out, and a nice play by McLeod to skate right into it. And then, yeah, the time runs out pretty much right there. Wow. Whew. That was too close for comfort. Absolutely too close. But Gionta's been a man on a mission for this team. And his a lot of Boleslav mask looks so good. I honestly should get a screenshot of him because I don't think I have one yet. And he is technically one of the best players in the series. Definitely, I'd say the best goaltender I've had, but that's arguable. Let's friggin' go, man. So 3 stars in that game. Dorian Wang gets 3rd star for the Sharks. Dorian Sawchuk gets 2nd star for the Sharks. He made some big saves to keep him within 1. Like, he definitely was their MVP in the series. Bochinski didn't show up against us that much. And the 1st star of the game is going to be Jason Gionta. Let's go. 31 saves. He made some big ones in that 3rd period when we jumped into a little bit. Did that one hit off the crossbar? That one looked really close to hitting the crossbar. I gotta look at that, to be honest. Because I feel like that one might have hit off the blocker and then off the crossbar. Let's see. Was it this Bochinski chance? No, it wasn't a Bochinski chance. This is a big save there on Bochinski. Was it the Eakin shot? Let's take a look at this one. Yeah, I think it's this one. What? Let's see. Blocker. Yeah, it does graze the post right there. Oh my goodness. They were that close to tying it. I didn't even realize that hit the crossbar. Yeah, that's a huge one. Deflects it enough outside of the net that it hits the crossbar. And then he also made this save late on Burkov too, which is nice little toe drag and a flyer. Boom. Oh my goodness. Let's go, Gionta. Showing that you are a animal of a goaltender. Love this guy. He's probably one of my favorite goalies, to be honest, I've had in like quite some time. Like, he does everything for this team when he has to. But we do knock out the Sharks, and we are going to be facing off against Carolina in the Cup Finals, it just said. So I think that is Trenton Spetz's team. So that will be interesting if that is the case, because I'm pretty sure Gionta was the guy that took over for Spezza. So it might be literally another apprentice versus another master. And also, speaking of Spezza, I'm pretty sure he's one of Vezina in this timeline too. So it's going to be an interesting matchup if that is the case. So let's take a look at our player stats. And then we'll obviously sim to see that we are facing Carolina. But in terms of our player stats on our roster so far, Cashman's up to 17 points in 17 games. We have Dunham on 15 points. That was a big round for him. Kolar's on 14 points. Delisle on 13, Risto on 12, Comrie on 10. Really good depth scoring, I'd say, with this roster. Yep. All right, and obviously Doughty scoring that one game-winning goal. He's only got 1 goal and 2 points in the playoffs, but his 1 goal was a huge one. Enroth and Hansen have no points. How does Hansen have no points so far in this playoff run? I'm really kind of surprised on that. From a defensive standpoint, McLeod on 13 points, Hunwick on 10, Bell on 7, Petterman on 5, Carlotti has 4, Norena has 3 and 9. It would be really nice to get Norena back in the Cup Finals if we can. I know some of you guys might not agree with that because we've been playing so good, but he might have a chance to get back in because I would like to see him on the Stanley Cup celebration potentially if we do win one. Yeah, I'm not too sure where I could get him in if there is a way. From a goaltending perspective, both goalies have been actually really good. Gionta has a 921 through 17 games. He's been showing that he's actually a good playoff goaltender too. And yeah, His career right now has been really good. 40 career shutouts, a 913 career save percentage. His playoff numbers, he has a 912 career save percentage. This is by far his best playoff run of his career since, I think that's the year we won the Cup in 2037, if I remember right. I don't remember when we won the Cup, but he did have a really good year early into this. But he's been an animal. And of course, as I mentioned, literally he has 3 Vezina trophies and 4 Jennings. And now I think he's going to have to face off against his former goaltending tandem, goaltender Spezza, who I'm pretty sure has at least 1 Vezina trophy, maybe some Jennings. But I think that's who we're facing literally for the Stanley Cup. Let's see. So yeah, it is going to be Carolina, obviously no. And our head coach is happy that we made the Stanley Cup Finals. Thank you, Coach. I'm glad that you actually thought that we can make the Cup Finals, because I wasn't too sure at the start of this year if we were going to make a Cup Finals. Carolina finished 43-30-9, and it is going to be Trenton Spezza who we were playing in the Cup Finals. It says below. Wow. 43-39, so they didn't actually even have that great of a season, but they are the best offensive team in the playoffs apparently right now. They are 10th in goals against, so they're not playing good defensively. They're 3rd on the power play and 7th on the penalty kill, so good special teams and good offense. Huh. That's interesting. I feel like we should have a realistic shot since they didn't have a great season, but they could be a cheese team. And now what's kind of scary about Carolina is, if I remember right, I think it was one of my drafted glories before this as well. I think actually maybe it wasn't my drafted glories. There was definitely a year, one of my franchise modes, the last Stanley Cup run I had, I lost to Carolina in that game. I think it might have been my Chicago series with like Asher Vance and stuff, if you guys remember that series. But I think that's who I played in one of my last seasons, if I remember right. But anyways, let's take a look at what Carolina did during the regular season compared to us, since we know how they played in the playoffs. Actually, we'll take a little bit more in-depth look at their playoff stuff as well. But if we go to entire league, obviously we were the 5th best team, but the Carolina Hurricanes are all the way down at 13th. They scored 3.26 goals during the regular season. They allowed 2.9. So during the regular season, they're a better defensive team than the playoffs so far. Their power play was bad actually during the regular season, but it's good during the playoffs. Their penalty kill wasn't good either. So their special teams in the playoffs are a lot better than the regular season, which is kind of scary. 3-4-3 going into the playoffs. Interesting. What about in the playoffs so far? We already know where they're sitting and stuff, but let's sort this by wins here and just do a comparison a little bit more so. So they have 61 goals in 14 games, so they're scoring a ton of goals, so that's going to be very tough. We got to play good defensively. I mean, we do have the goaltender to do it, so maybe that will help us. But yeah, they definitely are allowing a lot of goals as well. Their power play has been a little bit better than ours, and their penalty kill has been a little bit better than ours as well. They have no short-handed goals this postseason. They have not lost a game on home ice so far this playoff run. That's kind of insane. And they're 5-2 on the road. We've only lost 1 home game, to be honest, too. So we're pretty similar. They're 9-1 in their last 10 games. Wow. How has their playoff run been actually up to this point, out of curiosity? So if we look, they took out the Washington Capitals in 5. Then they swept the Islanders and took out the Sabres in 5. Their run has been pretty easy up to this point. I feel like we are the team that could definitely throw them completely off that run that they're on. So I feel confident right now, at least based on that. But I'm not too sure on what their roster looks like. Like they could have like some crazy ass players on it. Like we know that they have Spezza, but I'm not too sure on their actual forward group. Obviously, they have probably really good depth scoring if they're the highest scoring team. Let's see. First line, Landon Gordon. I don't think I recognize this guy at all. 23 years old. Former 9th overall selection. Okay. They also do have Thomas Ustorf. I remember this dude. Yeah, former 1st overall pick of the LA Kings back in 2028. I remember this dude for sure. He's been with Carolina a long time. And he's been a pretty good player. Also played with the Kings, of course. Has he ever won a Stanley Cup, out of curiosity? He's won a Calder in 2029, but he's never won a Cup. Huh. Yeah, but I do recognize this guy. I remember him being in that draft class in 2028. I don't know who we took that year, but we probably would have drafted somebody good too. And then also on that top line has Nelson. Nelson. All right. Yeah, it's a pretty solid top line. It's not the most insane top line, but they have a good depth scorer and apparently on his team, so I can't say anybody's bad. Second line as Ladislav Nedarost, 83 overall. They might have an injury or maybe they just have a weak forward group, but this forward group should not be simulating as good as they are. So they could cheese us potentially, but also maybe we find a way. So Nedarost has 14 points in 14 playoff games as an 83. That's kind of insane. All right. He's playing with Shane Lyon. And who are you? Darius Eves. Yeah, this forward group is not that insane, but they are simulating like 4 goals per game, so they must have good chemistry. Tero Kavusari, one of their younger options on that third line. Drafted 10th overall just last year, so Carolina's most recently, I guess, just getting back into the playoff hunt. They also have Francois Huberdeau and Andre Perjogin. In a fourth line of Ville Kerman, a 70 overall is playing in the playoffs. Gordy Kemp, 19 years of age, drafted 19th overall just last year by Minnesota. So Carolina must have been trying to offload players at the deadline and still made the playoffs. And maybe that's why they had a midseason and why they potentially could win a Stanley Cup here, I guess. That's scary. Demetrius Copeland is their other option. Yeah, this definitely feels like they have to have an injury, right? You would think, at least with this forward group. Like, how does this forward group score 4 goals per game? Unless they have an offensive defenseman that just helps generate offense, I'm not too sure. They have Lincoln Antonio, DFD. They also have Caden Reich. Probably not an offense. Oh, he is an offensive defenseman. Does he simulate like one? 9 points in 14 playoff games? He does. So this guy's only a 78, but he's probably the backbone offensively for their offensive core. Yeah, he's actually not that bad in terms of simulation. Interesting. They also do have Yuri Habibulin, and they also have Sean Irving. And in the top 6 pairing of Howard Wiseman and, what's your name, Mohamed Cialfido. Interesting. That defensive core is not even that good either. Yeah, I definitely think we should be able to easily beat them, but if we lose to them, we are getting cheesed. Easily, no question about it. Like, this defensive core has a bunch of 70s on it. This offensive core is mid. Like, literally, their top line could be a second line. Their second line could be a third line. Their third line could be a fourth line. And their fourth line could be a depth line almost. From a goaltending perspective, we know they have Spezza. He's dropped down to an 85 at 34. But Trenton Spezza used to be one of the men between the pipes here. And yeah, he's been an interesting goaltender since leaving us, which was quite a while ago now at this point. He had a 913, a 906, a 901, 911, 920, 918. Jeez, 2 really good years there. A 912, 908, a 908 again. So it looks like he's starting to dwindle a little bit as of late. But he still also has 40 career shutouts, just like Gionta. He's a little bit older, but yeah, he's been a really good goaltender. And also he played a couple years here, obviously. He wasn't good early on in his career with us, but then his last year with us, he posted a 916, so no problems there. Oh my goodness, 12-1-1. So their only loss, or one of their only 2 losses, came in regulation. So they literally don't lose games in regulation at all. They don't lose games, period. So Spezza has a 916, which is good, but a 301 goals against average. Like, I'm surprised he's able to win games with that. So I feel like we're going to find a way to be able to beat them. I just feel like they're way too mid to be this good. And if we lose to them, it's probably because the game just wants to give Spezza a Stanley Cup with them. I'm not too sure. But we should be able to easily beat them based on that. They have gone far in the playoffs a couple years back, like 5 years ago, but they're still kind of really weird. He obviously had some playoff runs with us too a little bit early on in his career, but And then, of course, if you were wondering, in terms of, wow, Spezza's contract's pretty bad. I mean, it's not, he's a good goaltender, but that's a pretty high up contract for a guy that's 34. He has won only the 1 Vezina trophy, but yeah, he's never won a Stanley Cup. I really hope we find a way to beat them, because if we somehow lose to this team, like, they have a weak backup too in Korpikoski. And then we should probably be like, what the hell's with this game? Like, the depth options aren't even that good, too. Like, Grant's a 74, Parks is 74, and DeSantis is a 68. God damn, and he's also from Minnesota. So they must have made a trade with Minnesota for sure. That they were thinking that they weren't going to make the playoffs, and then they still did. And now they got to a finals. Like, if we go back to Minnesota, we did play Minnesota first round this year. Who was it that Carolina traded them? There has to be somebody, right? Let's see. Oh, there's a Carolina. Altschuler. So Altschuler was part of a trade, I think, this season, right? Yes, he was. So Carolina offloaded him. He had 41 points. All right. What about defensively? Was there any other people that Carolina gave up on? Does not look like it there. What about goalies? Blackburn wasn't Carolina. You weren't Carolina. Depth options. Oh, there's another Carolina. Russell Fergone. So it looks like they must have made a trade, Minnesota and Carolina just didn't think they were going to make the postseason. And that's why their record is as low as it is. But they still made the playoffs, and then somehow this roster is good enough to make it to a cup finals against us. But I really hope we don't get cheesed. I don't know how they're scoring still 4.36 goals for per game. There's just no reason for it, but I think we have the upper hand. We just got to find a way to win 4 more games. We just knocked out the President's Trophy winners, so we should be able to beat this team. We should be able to. If we lose, I'm just going to keep shaking my head for the next 24 hours if that's the case. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Albuquerque Aliens Draft to Glory franchise mode. So in next episode, we will take it to the Stanley Cup Finals against former goaltender Trenton Spezza in the Carolina Hurricanes as we look to get 4 more wins and get ourselves that Stanley Cup and not get cheese. Because if we get cheese, it's just going to be like the worst collapse of all time. Because we had such a good season. Our playoff run, we've been able to knock out some pretty good teams. We knocked out the Blues after being down 3-1 against them. We took out the San Jose Sharks, who just won the President's Trophy. So I think we should be able to do this. Just got to find a way to win those 4 more games. And then we'd celebrate against our former goaltender in Spezza. So, let us know down below. And I'll see you guys next time.